It would seem that no one was supposed to find it, but it happened. In Mexico, found the entrance to the underworld. Sounds pretty mystical, but you have to see it. A 3-ton stone artifact, a mysterious hand in England, and cave paintings that can only be seen under certain conditions. Watch the video until the end, you will be astonished. Hi friend, you're on the KirTop channel. Who owns this hand? Today we will go back in time and plunge into the mysterious world of the ancient Romans. Our starting point will be Fort Vendolanda, one of the first Roman military camps in what is now England. For many centuries, 9 fortifications were built here. In 2018, an amazing discovery was made here. The researchers found a bronze hand the size of a child's. But it's not just a hand. On its palm was a place for something that unfortunately has not survived to this day. And yet, at the base of the hand, there is a hole as if it was attached to something. The mystery becomes even more interesting because a hand was found near the temple of Jupiter Dolithian. Most likely, the hand was part of some religious ritual. Similar finds were made in other temples of this god. Now you can see this hand in the Vendolanda Museum. This is a vivid reminder that temple life and the practices associated with the worship of Dolithian were much richer than people previously thought. And the most interesting thing is that all knowledge about the cult of Jupiter Dolithian is based on rare inscriptions, sculptures, and other examples of art found in different parts of the former Roman Empire. So every new discovery is a step towards unraveling this ancient mystery. What do you think? Could this hand be used for some mystical purpose? Write your opinion in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so as not to miss a new video. And I will continue. Ancient artifact weighing 3 tons. A farmer from the Spanish town of Bana, uprooting an olive tree, stumbled upon a huge stone object. The photo posted by the local city hall shows that it looks like a large round stone with 3 grooves on the sides. It turned out to be an ancient Roman millstone, a special device for squeezing olives and extracting olive oil. This device is called the trapetum. It was invented back in Greece and then used throughout the Roman Empire. The trapetum works like this. The workers crushed the olives with the help of the second part, which fit perfectly into the round recess, and rotated with the help of a long stick. Stone mill with a height of about 90 centimeters and a diameter of 1.2 meters weighs as much as 3 tons. Archaeologist Jose Antonio Morena estimated the age of the millstone at 2,000 years, and he suggested that this monumental artifact proves that olives were grown in Bana back in the days of ancient Rome. Today, Bana is also known for its olive oil. Olive groves surround the entire city, and local history is reflected in the Museum of Olive Groves and Oil. So this stone millstone will soon move to the Historical Museum of the city. Skeletons in unusual graves. In the Negev desert in southern Israel, archaeologists have discovered burials that are about 2,500 years old. Can you imagine? And inside them are as many as 50 skeletons which, according to researchers, may belong to women sold into slavery. The most interesting thing about these finds is the shape of the tombs. So far, we are used to seeing round-shaped burials in the Negev desert, but these 2 tombs are unique and have square dimensions. Plus, they are located in a very unusual place, at the crossroads of 2 trade routes that once connected Egypt, Jordan, and the Arabian Peninsula. Scientists know that such burials at crossroads are not as surprising as they may seem. After all, people dying in the harsh conditions of the desert from disease or violence often remain buried exactly where they died. However, in ancient times, such crossroads were considered sacred places with ritual and religious significance. Now about the most important thing. During the excavations, many artifacts were found dating back to about 7th–5th century BC. All of them are produced in different places: the southern Levant, the southern Arabian Peninsula, and of course Egypt. This, as well as amulets found in the tombs, support the assumption that women who were sold into slavery and transported from Egypt were buried here, but this is yet to be confirmed. Rock shelter in Oregon. Imagine you find an animal's tooth. Old tooth, very old, 18,000 years old. It is such a unique foundation of the remains of the past that archaeologists found in a stone shelter in Oregon, USA. If our skull history has not changed, then this is one of the most ancient places where people lived in North America. This shelter, called Rimrock Drow, has been excavated by archaeologists since 2011. Here they found a lot of stone tools and pieces of teeth of ancient animals that died out during the last ice age. Among the finds, fragments of camel teeth found under a layer of volcanic ash from the eruption of Mount St. Helens are especially memorable. This eruption is believed to have happened over 15,000 years ago. And the most interesting is, they found two scrapers made of orange agate, one of which was covered with bison's blood. Now scientists have proven that the camel's tooth dates back to 8,250 years BC. The question of the first people in North America is a whole detective story in archaeology. It used to be thought that the representatives of the Clovis culture were the first here about 15,000, 13,000 years ago. But now this date is constantly being pushed back and scientists have not yet reached agreement. And finally, a little advice from archaeologists. If you stumble upon something interesting, don't touch it. This can derail the hard work of researchers. Bronze Age rock paintings. While hiking with his family in the vicinity of Moss, south of Oslo, Tormod Fjeld noticed a pattern on a rock that any passerby might miss. Using an app on his phone, he was able to distinguish between natural and artificial colors on the rock and saw an image of a boat with rowers, as well as animals and people. Experts confirmed the uniqueness of his discovery. This is most likely the first Bronze Age painting in this region of Norway. Tormod is always looking for such pictures. His first find is a petroglyph discovered in 2016 while walking his dog. He didn't know what those strange signs meant, but he wanted to know more. So Tormod began a joint search with archaeologist Magnus Tengen and Lars Ole Kleivstad, an architect and artist who is also passionate about petroglyphs. Together they spent many nights in all weathers examining these ancient signs. This kind of research requires passion and dedication. Like magicians, they prefer to explore at dusk or dawn when the tilted light brings ancient ruins to life. There is even a theory that ancient people used fire to create the effect of movement in petroglyphs. Ancient gates to the underworld. How about a trip to Mexico, where archaeologists have recently discovered an ancient underground temple with a door to the afterlife? Sounds mystical, doesn't it? The story began back in 1674 when the priest Francisco de Bergoa described in his notes a gigantic underground temple in the city of Metla. Judging by his words, the temple consisted of 4 holes, one of which had a stone door leading to a deep cave. And this, guys, was not just some kind of room, it was a place that, according to the beliefs of the ancient Zapotec people, led to the afterlife, called Liaba, or resting place. But what happened next? Apparently, the entrance to this cave was walled up by the Spaniards and the temple was destroyed. Now on this side stands the Church of San Pablo, built right on the ruins of an ancient temple. Thanks to advanced research methods such as ground-penetrating radar, electric tomography, and seismic noise tomography, archaeologists have discovered a large void under the church that appears to be connected to another void to the north. The researchers also found 2 underground passages leading into this void from the east. Moreover, they even managed to find the location of the blocked entrance to the ancient cave. It seems that this story is just beginning, and we have a lot to learn about the ancient Zapotecs and their beliefs. So subscribe to our channel if you don't want to miss the continuation of this fascinating study. The wealth of the ancient elite. In the city of Larnaca in Cyprus is Hala Sultan Tekke, the place where the aunt of the Prophet Muhammad Haram is said to have rested. But this city has another unique story that goes back 3,300 years before us. In ancient times, this town was a picturesque trading station where the world-famous copper reserves were disposed of. Due to its success in copper mining, the city attracted many of the elite of that time, as evidenced by the recent discovery of royal tombs. These tombs turn out to be a hoard of historical treasures containing more than 500 high-quality funerary items. Thanks to the diligence of local farmers who stumble upon ancient pottery fragments, archaeologists unearthed these stunning finds using state-of-the-art earth scanning equipment. Inside these tombs, deep underground, explorers unearthed an amazing collection of objects adorned with gold, precious stones, and ivory. Among the finds were the stunning remains of a woman surrounded by ceramic vessels and bronze mirror, and next to her was a 1-year-old child with a ceramic toy. Analysis showed that gold and ivory came from Egypt, while blue lapis lazuli and turquoise came from Afghanistan, India, and Sinai. Pottery was brought from Greece, Turkey, Syria, Palestine, and Egypt. It is not surprising that the elite of that time could afford such a luxury. After all, copper, which they mined and sold to neighboring cultures, was the most important resource because bronze was made from it and tin. What a 16-year-old girl from the 7th century looked like. We'll go back 13 centuries to meet a mysterious girl who may have been from the royal family and one of the first Christians in England. Think back to the year 2012. An amazing archaeological find has been discovered on the outskirts of Cambridge, UK. Archaeologists have found the remains of a 16-year-old girl buried in earth from the 7th century. Scientists have recreated her face using 3D modeling technology based on the girl's skull. And while they're not sure about the eye and hair color without DNA analysis, the model gives us an idea of what our girl looked like. She had a special feature. Her left eye was slightly lower than the right, which was noticeable when meeting her. Although she was found in Great Britain, she comes from Central Europe, most likely from southern Germany. The secret of her death remains a mystery, but signs of illness indicate that she was battling some kind of ailment. Our girl was buried in the style of a royal person, on a carved wooden bed with a gold and garnet cross, surrounded by jewelry and beautiful clothes. It seems that she was from the aristocracy or even the royal family, and most surprisingly was a Christian, which at that time was a rarity in England. Largest ancient axe. Today we have some really big news from Kent, Britain. Researchers at the University of California have discovered stone tools that are over 300,000 years old. Just imagine, these artifacts were made back in the era of cavemen. Among the 800 stone artifacts found in the deep deposits of the Ice Age, there are 2 huge flint axes, one of which is more than 29 centimeters long. This, guys, is an absolute record for Britain. The researchers suggest that these huge tools were used for butchering meat, but according to archaeologists, the axes are so large that it's hard to imagine how they could be held and used. Perhaps they had a rather symbolic function, demonstrating the skill and strength of the owner. But for now, these are all assumptions, and researchers continue to work on studying these artifacts. Legionnaires' helmet in good condition. We are opening a portal to ancient Rome right in Russia in the Krasnodar territory. Archaeologists have made an amazing discovery near the village of Zaria, a bronze helmet from Roman times. Imagine, this helmet, once shiny and new, was worn on the head of a formidable rider. And it was not found just like that. It was buried along with its brave rider and their faithful horses. This was discovered during excavations of an ancient burial ground. The peculiarity of this helmet is the absence of a metal bracket on the frontal part, which could usually be removed while wearing. Maybe it was some kind of ritual, or maybe just part of the fashion of that time. But what is really surprising is that the helmet, a Roman legionnaire or a local imitation of a Roman prototype. Its shape is reminiscent of Haguenau-type helmets from the 1st century BC. This opens a new page in history for us during the Roman Bosporus War between Mithridates of Bosporus and his brother Cotys, the events of which are still shrouded in mystery. One Roman legionary helmet has already been discovered in the Sochi region, but our example has excellently preserved cheek pads with mobile hinges. After processing, this artifact will be sent to the museum for everyone to see. Griffins from the pharmacy. And now let's move on to the depth of mystical St. Petersburg, Russia, where the walls of old houses are literally saturated with the spirit of the past. And our characters today are an incredibly intriguing Russian chemist and his griffins. Alexander Pal is a scientist, brilliant chemist, teacher, and publisher of his own journal. He opened and owned one of the oldest pharmacies in St. Petersburg, invented a unique way to store medicines in glass ampoules, and even developed his own medicine. However, it is his alchemical experiments that are at the center of our attention today. Imagine, the famous chemist, using his powerful scientific and technical base, not only works on solving important medical problems, but also is looking for the Philosopher's Stone. Or rather, as they say, he found it. But that is not all. In the courtyard of Pal's pharmacy on Vasilyevsky Island, there was his laboratory where, according to city rumors, the chemist brought out griffins. Yes, those same creatures from myth and legends. At night, they allegedly left their tower, now known as the Griffin Tower, and fluttered around the area, frightening the locals. In the 90s, mysterious numbers began to appear on the tower, which mysticism lovers immediately declared the formula of happiness derived derived by Paul himself. In fact, it was an art project of one St. Petersburg artist, but these figures continue to be updated to this day. So, fans of history and mysteries, if you're lucky enough to visit St. Petersburg, be sure to check out the museum located in this tower. Who knows, maybe you will be lucky and you will be able to see the shadows of griffins or their reflections in the windows of neighboring houses. Or maybe you will even be able to decipher the very formula of happiness. After all, as they say, until proven otherwise, griffins exist. Perhaps they're just waiting in the wings to give each of us a piece of happiness. And I am ready to give you stories about new finds of archaeologists and interesting events of the past which will take your breath away. Write a kind comment under the video which I will definitely answer. Thanks for your views, bye everyone!